Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing
Basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
All right, welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops. Coach and I are going to get this done so we can go watch our favorite team at some point.
Yeah, you guys are going to hear this a bit later, so you're going to know who won. Right?
We won't tell you the sport or the event. But before we do that, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsor, who this podcast is brought to you by, Coach.
Game Changer, one of my favorite apps. I love technology and to streamline things, make things a lot easier. And I'm so happy I stumbled upon Game Changer. We had the CEO a few weeks on, and just a tremendous person and tremendous company. And coaches, if you're looking for something to stream your games live, so parents, grandparents who aren't at the game can see it, Game Changer is your tool. If you're looking for some stats on how well your team is doing, and I'm sure Coach Collins can add, and if you can't measure it, you can't change it. Stats teacher in him. So go to Game Changer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me give that URL, gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Again, gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Sorry, Coach.
My phone went off and I apologize, but I'm not going to edit that out. That was my niece calling.
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
You didn't hear it. Good. Perfect.
Yeah.
She's FaceTiming me. So I'm sure it's about, I don't know, maybe it's about the game. Could be about the game. Maybe.
Could be about
but yes, go check Game Changer out. I love the ability for grandma to watch it in Wyoming,
Yeah.
The live stream, and it's free. People, it's free.
That's right.
You
can't beat free.
Coach and I were just talking about our bills before we came on the air. So anything free is good.
Dude, and you live in a cheap state. You should come to California. They just told us that our PG&E bill was going up some ridiculous percent, and it had already gone up, and they promised a reduction. But of course now, which we knew would never happen.
Think of that. If our kids move to California, I could see it. I could definitely see it. No snow. I mean, we want to live in the Bay.
Well, it depends where you go, but yeah, Bay Area.
Yeah, we're not going to live in the Bay Area.
Just think what we could conquer in the Bay Area, Coach Collins, if you're out here. Man, think about that.
We'll see someday. All right. So what's today's topic?
Let's dive into it. Yeah, we're going to talk about are we overcoaching our kids and stripping the creativity out of the game? And I'm going to give you two extreme scenarios that I've just learned about. So one is, and these are high school examples, but I know they trickle down to the youth. And of course, we're talking about youth on this podcast. But I'm going to give you these two examples.
I think the name says that, doesn't it? Coaching youth.
Exactly.
Yes.
Coaching youth. But what's a youth, right? Anybody under 18. So extremes.
Yeah. Yes.
Coach A. No, these are real examples. Coach A came out saying that he does not run a lot, doesn't really have an offense, lets the kids just kind of free form and play. Okay. The other coach has, I mean, he has to run, doesn't, he has a base offense, but he must have, I watched an hour's worth of film and he must have ran over a dozen or more plays in that time. So you have the two extremes: no plays, lots of plays. No, not a really, they got maybe a kind of a light motion offense and let the kids figure it out, to very scripted. Now, the outcomes, two different teams, a lot of different talent levels. The team that's very over scripted, they have good athletes and they're winning. The other team is middle, they're not, they have a winning record, and they're two different leagues and everything. So it's really hard to compare success that way. But that's kind of, are we over coaching? What's your thoughts on that?
So I think it's hard. Again, with youth, we have this wide range of youth, anywhere from
Correct.
kindergartner, first grader to an eighth grader. So I think there's again, some math teacher in me, I think there's a sliding scale on this.
Okay. Yeah.
I definitely think anything in the elementary school, you should err on the side of less is more.
Mm-hmm.
As far as scripting and plays, all that stuff, teach them fundamentals, teach them how to have fun, teach them those kind of things. As they get closer and they move up the chain, I think expecting them to run out of bounds plays, expecting them to run maybe a basic offense, maybe more than one defense kind of things should go up as they become a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grader. So I don't think the answer is black and white. I don't think at the 3rd grade level you should be running 17 plays and 3 defenses and 4 out of bounds. I mean, I just don't think that is. And again, exceptions to rules are called outliers statistically, but for the most part, most people should not do that. That would be where kind of I think that scale has to kind of move side to side.
Absolutely.
And the objective of a youth coach, hopefully, is to keep the fun of the game. Most kids don't play past high school. Do they like to play it? Do they want to keep playing it? I tell my youth coaches in my program, don't be the kid's last coach. Let me do that if they're good enough. And that's the issue. It's like we want it to be fun. We want them to learn something too.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's right on. And as they get older from 3rd through that 8th grade, you have to also remember their brain grows and they can pick up spatial concepts
and they physically change. They're physically changing. But before we go any farther, let's give a big shout out to what's that URL on Game Changer? Give us a big
Game Changer. It's gc.com/coaching youth hoops, all one word. Again, gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Go check it out, coaches. Get stats on your team, live game streaming. You will love it, and it's
free. I'm going to use my radio voice. It's free. I always thought voiceovers. I thought about voiceovers at one point, but anyway, I had that deep kind of smoking too much.
Don't
yelling
too much.
Something like that. No, but I think going back to what we were talking about before that is you're right. And to be honest with you, it depends on whether you're coaching boys or girls too. That shift happens at different ages too.
Oh, that's right. That's true. Yeah.
Physically, you know what I'm saying? They change and what they can do physically. And like, I don't think an 8th grade girl tends to change much as far as height and stuff, but an 8th grade boy might grow 7 inches,
Yeah.
So there's some of those shifts too on what can they do? Where will they play? It's harder to foreshadow sometimes, I think, with the boys.
Yeah. Well, maybe generically, let's maybe just walk through what it would look like generically. Again, like 3rd grade, like kindergarten, we know, just roll the ball out, let them have fun, do a bunch of fun games.
K through 2, basically.
K through 2, yeah. 3rd grade, they should be able to learn inbound plays, right? At least
Like a
one.
stack.
If it's a
Yeah,
stack
something.
or
Yes.
4 corners or whatever it is, they should be able to learn at least one. Hopefully you're not running a press or a press break. So fingers crossed on that they're not running that at third grade level. And then at third grade too, just a basic offense, pass cut and it's more rule based, not an offense like we would
Yes,
run in
agree.
eighth
Agree.
grade, right?
Motion
Yeah.
kind
Okay.
of thing. Yes.
Yeah, motion. Like I would say third and fourth. Now, I know our fourth graders, that's when the last 2 minutes of the game you can press, right? So then, carry everything forward that you just did in third grade. Then you have to add the press and the press break. I would say by that time, though, maybe one quick hitter, easy, very
Something.
small amount
And
of
the thing is,
motion,
here's what you can
movement.
do
I
too.
mean,
And moving all the
yeah,
way forward, we can do all the
yeah,
grades, but it's a laboratory. Like you should try
sure.
it
On your team, yeah.
and in your team
Hmm.
and try an out of bounds play and then try in the next game and see if they remember it and then move them to different spots. So as your coach, you got to think about it in terms of a laboratory a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just scale from there. It's like every year goes by, maybe add one or two more things to it. They can pick up if you did one play in third grade, by the time they get to the sixth, they should be able to comprehend, a half dozen or so or more. And that's when you really start getting into more of an offense. They can understand the spatial, their brain is developing a little bit more. And then in eighth grade, yeah, they're getting ready for high school if they're going to play in high school. So that's when you would expect they're going to pick up a lot more. You're going to be able to draw something in a timeout real quick, something easy for them to do that they never worked on before, but they get the general concept, a screen here, screen there, whatever it might be. Does that kind of go along with your thought process?
Yeah. And then in the middle school, if you're a youth coach, depending on whether you're an independent youth coach, maybe you're doing an AU or something like that, or you're related to a high school. If you're related to a high school, at that point, I would be reaching out to the freshman coach, the JV coach, varsity coach, and figure out what are they running? Is that what you're going to keep running? Is like, because there are some coaches that have systems and that's what they always run. Some change. I'm more under the, let me see what I got, and then we're going to adjust to that group or that sets of groups. So that's as a youth coach, I think that's important to, again, figure out if you're a summer AU coach, maybe you're trying to get your kid ready to play for that, high school or that, whatever it is. Maybe go watch their games, figure out what they're doing. How can you implement that in 7th and 8th grade? Again, you don't have to do that at the third grade level. Teach a midline or help side defense and you'll be fine, I think. But I think those things are all important to kind of think about in terms of big picture. It's the math teacher. It's like if you're going to learn algebra 2, you need to know algebra 1 kind of thing.
Right.
And
I want to emphasize the point you made too is, obviously this is based on the basketball IQ of a particular team, right? I had a third grade team where they were outstanding. So I did have 3 or 4 plays that we ran and they got them. It wasn't like they weren't struggling with them at all. So, again, you have to look at your team and what their basketball IQ is. But yeah, but for the most part, going back to really the core of the subject matter was how much do we just let them play versus being scripted all the time? More, right? Yeah.
In my opinion, I see it with my guys too. It's like, and the hard part is when you get to the high school level, the collegiate level, it's not the NBA level. It's it is structured. It's what they do and how they set things, and and the NBA level is, again, people that are listening to this are probably not going to have NBA players or WNBA players. Anyway, anything else, Coach, with this?
Yeah, just embrace the flow. Encourage the experimentation and just let them play. I think that's what at the end of the day we're
and then after you get off this podcast, you should go to
gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Check it out, Coach. It's free.
It's free. Can't beat it.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.